Among the countless strange substances humans have experimented with over the years, very few are as bizarre as the chemicals found in urinal cakes and mothballs. While many people assume stories about getting high from toilet deodorizer blocks are just urban legends, medical literature and toxicology reports have shown that the phenomenon is very real. The substance responsible is called para-dichlorobenzene, or PDCB, a chemical that has been used for decades in urinal cakes, mothballs, insect repellents, and deodorizing products. Although it was never intended for human consumption or recreational use, its vapors can produce psychoactive effects, making it one of the strangest inhalants ever documented. Para-dichlorobenzene is one of three isomers of dichlorobenzene, with the para form becoming widely used in industry due to its stability and controlled sublimation rate, which made it especially useful in long-lasting deodorizing blocks and pest control products. What makes para-dichlorobenzene especially unusual is that it doesn't melt as it disappears. Instead, it undergoes a process called sublimation, where the solid slowly turns directly into a gas. That's why urinal cakes and mothballs gradually shrink over time while continuously releasing their characteristic smell. In fact, much of what people associate with the classic public restroom scent is actually the chemical itself floating in the air. This same sublimation process is what made it so effective in mothball and deodorizer design, allowing it to release vapor steadily without needing heat or liquid breakdown. Like many inhalants, PDCB works primarily by depressing the central nervous system. Scientists still don't fully understand the exact mechanism behind the intoxication, but it appears to act similarly to other volatile solvents. Users have reported feelings of relaxation, mild euphoria, dizziness, disorientation, and occasionally even hallucinations. Some people describe the effects as resembling alcohol intoxication, while others compare it to a weak, traditional solvent high. The effects themselves are generally considered relatively mild, which makes the amount of damage the chemical can cause seem wildly disproportionate to the experience it produces. Like other inhalants, it belongs to a broader class of substances that were never designed for intoxication at all, but still happen to affect the brain when inhaled, placing it alongside things like gasoline vapors, glue fumes, aerosol propellants, and nitrous oxide in the broader category of accidental psychoactive chemicals, although some of those are far more dangerous than others. One thing that makes para-dichlorobenzene particularly dangerous is that it is highly fat-soluble. Instead of simply passing through the body very quickly, it tends to accumulate in fatty tissue, including the brain and nervous system. This means that repeated exposure can cause levels to build up over time in a way similar to cannabinoids. Even after stopping use, the chemical may continue leaking back into the bloodstream as body fat is metabolized, a phenomenon toxicologists sometimes refer to as coasting. Because of this, symptoms can actually continue or even worsen after someone stops using the substance. In occupational or chronic exposure cases, this buildup effect can become significant enough that the chemical becomes detectable through bodily odor, with some heavily exposed individuals literally smelling like mothballs or bathroom deodorizer. Long-term exposure can produce a truly disturbing list of symptoms. Cases have documented weakness, difficulty walking, tremors, problems with speech, memory impairment, psychiatric symptoms, liver damage, kidney damage, skin discoloration, nerve damage, and severe forms of brain injury known as, this is a big one, encephalopathy. Fuck me, I'm too high for this shit right now, guys. Some patients have become unable to communicate properly or even follow simple commands. The effects can resemble diseases such as multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, or other degenerative neurological conditions, making diagnosis quite difficult. In more severe cases, MRI imaging has shown white matter abnormalities in the brain, suggesting direct structural damage to neural pathways rather than just functional disruption. Perhaps the most infamous case involved a 19-year-old woman who was hospitalized after suffering worsening mental deterioration and muscle weakness. Doctors initially struggled to determine what was causing her symptoms. Family members eventually revealed that she had developed a habit of sniffing toilet deodorizer blocks. Tests found extraordinarily high concentrations of paradichlorobenzene metabolites in her body, over 3,000 times higher than normal household exposure levels. The case became famous enough that researchers titled the report "Toilet Cake Encephalopathy." Similar cases in medical literature have shown that diagnosis is often delayed because the symptoms closely mimic neurodegenerative diseases, making toxic exposure an easy cause to miss until patient history is carefully examined. Despite how absurd the idea sounds, addiction to paradichlorobenzene has been documented. Some individuals have reportedly developed cravings for the smell itself, and others have ingested mothballs or toilet deodorizers because they found them calming or anxiolytic. There are even cases involving pica, a disorder characterized by cravings for non-food substances. I'm sure many of you have heard about that before. Physicians suspect the actual number of users may be under-recognized simply because the practice is so unusual that many doctors do not think to ask about it. Some reports also suggest that repeated exposure may create a psychological reinforcement loop due to the mild sedative effects combined with sensory familiarity, though it is not considered addiction in the classic pharmacological sense. One reason that the drug has become somewhat infamous online is because of the existence of a subreddit called r/urinal cake life. To an outsider, the place almost looks like a support group mixed with a drug forum, but after spending some time there, it becomes clear that much of the community is steeped in satire and absurdist humor. Not surprising. Members jokingly refer to themselves as puck suckers and speak about urinal cakes with the seriousness of wine connoisseurs discussing rare vintages. Stories about getting trapped in public bathrooms, searching for cakes, discussing cake withdrawals, or rating the flavors and textures of various pucks are common themes. Many posts are clearly tongue-in-cheek, but they're based on the fact that paradichlorobenzene abuse genuinely exists. This leaves newcomers perpetually wondering whether the subreddit is 100% satire, 100% real, or some bizarre mixture of both. According to many observers, the answer seems to be somewhat in the middle. The community also reflects a broader internet pattern where obscure real chemical phenomena get transformed into exaggerated lore and inside jokes, blurring the line between documentation and parody. The strange internet culture surrounding urinal cakes has become a running joke in drug communities. People have compared the subreddit to parody communities devoted to fictional addictions, except, unlike those communities, the underlying chemical really is psychoactive. This creates an almost surreal environment where genuine toxicology articles may sit beside elaborate stories about losing marriages, jobs, and friends because of a fictional obsession with premium cakes. Much of the humor also stems from how mundane the object is, contrasting sharply with the serious neurological and medical consequences that real exposure can produce. Interestingly, urinal cakes aren't the only products containing paradichlorobenzene. Traditional mothballs have often either used naphthalene or PDCB. Over the years, PDCB largely replaced the former because it was considered somewhat safer, although safer in this context is very relative. Ironically, many toxicologists now view chronic PDCB exposure as capable of causing profound neurological damage. Now, naphthalene itself carries a different risk profile, including the potential to damage red blood cells and cause hemolytic anemia, making both compounds hazardous, albeit in different ways. Another oddity is that people who work around these chemicals occupationally sometimes develop recognizable body odors. Heavy exposure can cause a strong deodorizer smell to emanate from the skin, clothing, and even breath, as I mentioned before. In severe poisoning cases, physicians have noted that the patient themselves smelled strongly like mothballs or toilet deodorizers before actually discovering the cause of the illness. This clinical clue has occasionally helped doctors identify exposure when patients initially present with vague neurological or psychiatric symptoms. Unlike many drugs, paradichlorobenzene has almost no glamour attached to it. There are no songs celebrating it, no major subcultures built around it, and no famous celebrities associated with its use. Even among people interested in obscure psychoactive substances, urinal cakes occupy a kind of legendary status because the concept sounds too ridiculous to be real. Yet, toxicologists, neurologists, and addiction specialists have repeatedly confirmed that the phenomenon does indeed exist. In a world where people have sought intoxication from everything from alcohol and cannabis to gasoline fumes and glue, perhaps the humble urinal cake represents one of the strangest reminders that if a substance can alter the human mind, then sooner or later, someone, somewhere, is definitely going to try it. And that is going to be it. If you enjoyed, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe and or follow if you're seeing this on TikTok. And if you are, do go check out my YouTube. I got exclusive content over there, and every subscriber helps. We're almost to 400 now, which means we're not very far away from the 500 number that everyone seems so crazy about. So if you could go help with that, I'd really appreciate it. Comment letting me know what you think about my channel as a whole, this video, or just ask me if I can cover something else specific that I haven't done before, that you think I haven't done before, something you'd like to see. And it doesn't have to always be drug related, just preferably in the same sort of I'm having a complete fucking retarded mental breakdown here, okay? The stuff's starting to kick in, okay? All right. Just whatever. Just comment whatever the fuck you want. Call me a bastard. I don't give a shit. Pop on those post notifications while you're around as well, so you never miss out on anything new that I may post. Stay frosty, stay curious, and as always, most importantly, stay safe out there. And with that, I will, of course, see all of you in the next one. Peace! Don't do urinal cakes.